Breastfeeding Myths and Truths. How do I know if my baby is getting enough breast milk? A video by Derbyshire Family Health Service. In this video series, we're going to be talking about some common misunderstandings around breastfeeding. In this episode, we'll be looking at ways to tell that your baby is getting enough breast milk. A common myth is that there is no way of knowing if a baby is getting enough breast milk. But there are lots of ways to know that your baby is feeding well. Nappies are a helpful sign of how much milk your baby is getting. You will be asked lots of times about nappies in the early weeks of having a baby. Your baby's wet and dirty nappies tell us a lot about how much milk they're getting. Here's a guide of how many nappies we would expect in a 24-hour period. At 1 to 2 days old, 1 or more wet nappies and 1 or more dirty nappies, with poo being a dark green and black colour. At 3 to 4 days old, 3 or more wet nappies and 2 or more dirty nappies, with poo changing colour and consistency to yellow-brown and looser. At 5 to 6 days old, 5 or more wet nappies and 2 or more dirty nappies. And at 7 to 28 days old, 6 or more wet nappies and 2 or more dirty nappies, with poo becoming a larger amount and being a yellow in colour. Poo may settle down into an individualised pattern from around 4 to 6 weeks if breastfeeding is going well. Exclusively breastfed babies do not suffer from constipation and do not need to be given any medication or home remedies to help them poo. If you are worried about a lack of poo, then ask your health visitor for advice. If your baby is calm, content and waking for feeds, these are also really good signs your baby is getting enough milk. Another way to know if baby is getting enough milk is how they behave. If your baby is very sleepy or crying continuously, then we would recommend asking for some feeding support. If they are feeding at least 8 to 12 feeds in 24 hours, this is a good sign. Looking at how your baby is sucking and swallowing is a good indication of how they're feeding. Their cheeks stay rounded during sucking. They rhythmically take long sucks and swallows, and that they finish the feed and come off the breast on their own. It's normal for your baby to pause from time to time. How your breasts feel after a feed is also a sign of how much milk your baby is getting. You will start to recognise your baby has had a good feed as your breast should feel softer. Even though breasts usually feel softer after a feed, they're never empty. Not all women experience breast engorgement. You don't have to worry about not having milk just because your breasts have softened. In the early days, there will be many changes to your breasts. They may feel quite full as your milk comes in. This will settle. Your baby will be weighed by the midwives, usually on day 5 and again on day 10. This will help build the picture of how feeding is going. We expect babies to lose weight in the first few days of life, and it's common for them to lose up to 10% of their birth weight. If this happens, you will have support with feeding to ensure your baby is feeding effectively and is gaining weight. There are lots of ways of knowing if your baby is getting enough breast milk. It can take time to learn what the signs of a big or little breastfeed are. If you are concerned, speak to your health visitor. For information and support, call Derbyshire Family Health Service on 01246 515 100 or text our chat health number on 07507 32 7769. Visit our YouTube channel to watch the other videos in our breastfeeding myth-busting series at DCHS Children's Services, and our website has information on everything you need to keep your family healthy at derbyshirefamilyhealthservice.nhs.uk.